Okay, so before I start this review, I do want to get this out of the way. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Here's a spoiler alert. Spoiler warning. I think that it's best that you wait until you have seen whatever it is that I'm reviewing in this video before you watch this video if you do not want to get spoiled for what it is that I'm reviewing in this video. So yeah, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Spoiler warning. Okay, so with that out of the way, on to the video. Hi everyone, this is Jaden Pictures. My name is Jaden Edward McKinney. And yeah, I'm actually recording this review outside this time rather than in my room. The reason why I'm recording this review outside instead of in my room is because, well, the walls of my apartment are really thin. And my dad's watching football or basketball or whatever at his home, and it's getting pretty noisy at my apartment, so I decided to record this review outside, and I'm recording this out here. And the thing that I'm reviewing today is yet another Dukey Shrek movie. It has, of course, Dukey the Third by Vanilla Rabbit Lover 2001 Productions, and this is my third favorite Dukey Shrek movie, and it makes sense since that Shrek the Third is my third favorite Shrek movie. Now, what do I think about Shrek the Third, the movie itself? Do I hate it like most people do? Do I hate it like a lot of people do? No, I really like Shrek the Third. I think it's an underrated gem. I like Shrek the Third. I think it's an underrated gem. It's a lot better than people say it is, and I really like Shrek the Third. But do I think it's as good as either of the first two Shrek movies? No, it's not as good as the first two Shrek movies in my opinion, but it still works. I still like Shrek the Third. But yeah, it's not as good as those first two Shrek movies, I do agree. But I always really liked main characters. I always really liked new main characters in Shrek the Third, like Artie and Merlin. I've always really enjoyed those two characters and their interactions with Shrek and all that stuff, and their interactions with each other. Yeah, and Vanilla Rabbit Lover doesn't hate this movie either, but he doesn't like it as much as I do. He just thinks it's okay, whereas the other three movies he loves, which is fair. That's a fair opinion. But I think this movie is underrated. I think this movie is underrated and really good, but not as good as those first two Shrek movies. In fact, I don't think anything else in the Shrek franchise will ever be as good as those first two movies. But yeah, I still like Shrek the Third, and of course that's something good about Dukey the Third, because it's based on a movie that I actually like, even though I don't like this movie as much as the first two Shrek movies. But I still like Dukey the Third. Okay, so let me now go over the casting choices Vanilla Rabbit Lover had for Artie and Merlin in this spoof project, and I'll of course share my opinion on those casting choices. Okay, so for Artie in this project, he had Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force be Artie, and for Merlin, he had Frylock from Aqua Teen Hunger Force be Merlin. Now, what do I think about those two casting choices? I'll be honest, they're not very fitting. They're not very fitting casting choices, especially not with Frylock as Merlin. But I still like those casting choices for some reason. Maybe I'm not exactly sure why I like those casting choices, but I do for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force be put in that many of these spoof casts. It's nice to see Aqua Teen Hunger Force be put in these spoof casts, but it's pretty understandable why people would be sleeping on Aqua Teen Hunger Force in these Shrek spoof casts, because Aqua Teen Hunger Force doesn't really have a very good cast for Shrek's cast. Yeah, it's pretty understandable. I find it more fair and understandable why people would be sleeping on Cat Dog or on cartoons like Cat Dog or Aqua Teen Hunger Force in these spoof casts than I do with King of the Hill. Yeah, I find it pretty fair how people would be sleeping on Aqua Teen Hunger Force in these spoof casts, but it's still nice to see Aqua Teen Hunger Force be put in one of these spoof casts, because I do enjoy Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I mean, I didn't grow up with this nearly as much as a bunch of other animated shows out there, like Dragon Ball, Regular Show, King of the Hill, Cat Dog, etc., but I still like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I remember watching some of it off of Adult Swim when I was a little kid, and I really liked it, and I really like the show. It's a really good adult cartoon, and yeah, and I do like seeing Master Shake be Artie and Frylock be Merlin in this spoof film. Now, which casting choice do I prefer between those two casting choices? Definitely Master Shake is Artie. It might not be very fitting either, but I do feel that Master Shake fits Artie better than Frylock does with Merlin. But I still like Frylock. I still like Frylock as Merlin, though. Okay, so what other new casting choices are in this spoof cast? Well, I do remember that Vanilla Rabbit Lover also had Susan. Also had Mary from Johnny Test. Mary, not Susan. Mary from Johnny Test be the lady who says, "His name's not Pizza," in that one scene in Shrek the Third. Yeah, I think that's a good casting choice. And as for the casting choices for Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Rapunzel in this spoof film, so yeah, for those four princess characters I just listed, if I'm correct, he he had all those casting choices for all four of those princesses are played by female characters that I'm not too familiar with, like from Totally Spies. Yeah, they're all played by female characters that I'm not too familiar with, but they still seem like pretty fitting casting choices though, in my opinion. And yeah, what other casting choices is there to talk? What other new casting choices are there to talk about in this spoof film? Well, I also remember he had Bob the Tomato from VeggieTales be the dude in the scene, the dude who announces the winner of the new mascot contest at the high school. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny. That's a good casting choice. And another new casting choice that I really like in the spoof film is how he had Mr. Garrison from South Park be the dude who judges the guys wearing the costumes outside the high school. Yeah, he had Mr. Garrison from South Park be the dude who judges the costumes outside the high school. Yeah, I thought that was a really good casting choice too. But yeah, there's some more casting choices there's some more new casting choices that I'm not too familiar with in this spoof, played by characters I'm not too familiar with in the spoof cast. Like, I remember for those two dudes playing chess at the high school, you had these two VeggieTales characters be them, and while I used to watch VeggieTales when I was little, and I really enjoyed it when I was little, I don't think I've seen any episode of VeggieTales that has those two characters on there. And plus, for the Lancelot guy who Shrek in the next scene mistakes as Arthur, he had, I think, who seems like to be this older brother character from Braceface be him. And yeah, like I said in the Dukey 2 review, I haven't seen Braceface, and I remember not knowing what it was until I saw Jay Vaders do that video with his sister that was split into a few parts. But that still seems like a pretty fitting casting choice. It seems like Vanilla Rabbit Lover does a really good job with deciding on fitting casting choices, despite the fact that I don't think his casting choices for Artie and Merlin are all that fitting. So yeah, what else is there to talk about with this? What else is there to talk about with the new casting choices? Well, I also remember for the ogre babies, for Shrek and Fiona's ogre babies, he had a baby version of Dukey from Johnny Test be one of them, and Tyke, Spike's son from Tom and Jerry, be another one of them. And by the way, both of them were suggested by me. I suggested those two casting choices. I suggested them to use those two casting choices on a live stream one time, and I suggested them to use those two casting choices, like how I also suggested him to have Gil from Johnny Test be Human Shrek in his Dukey 2 project. And he thanked me for suggesting him to use those casting choices in the end credits of his Dukey the Third. And to that, I say you're welcome, my man. So yeah, two of the casting choices for the ogre babies were suggested by me, and of course I really like those two casting choices. And another casting choice he had for one of the ogre babies in this spoof film is he had like a baby pony from My Little Pony be another one of the ogre babies. And yeah, that of course brings me to like probably the biggest problem I have with this Dukey Shrek series. My Little Pony, because like I said in the previous two Dukey Shrek movie reviews, I don't like My Little Pony. I think it's really overrated, really overused, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing people put it in their spoof cast. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why people like this show so much, aside from little girls and nostalgia. The stuff I said in the previous two Dukey Shrek movie reviews. But I will admit to this. For the scene where Prince Charming dies, gets crushed by that tower and all that stuff, for the scene where Prince Charming dies, he had, just like in his Dukey 2, he had King Sombra from My Little Pony be Prince Charming. And for the scene where Prince Charming dies in Shrek the Third, he added in this scene from My Little Pony where King Sombra dies, he yells, and there's an explosion and all that stuff. I'll admit, that clip was good. That clip was cool. That clip was cool and epic. I do like that clip, and I do like how he threw it in. Yes, it's from a show I don't like, but I still thought it was cool. I still thought it was cool how he edited it in, and I still thought it was a good clip. it was a good clip. But don't get me wrong, I still don't like My Little Pony. I still hate it. I don't like My Little Pony. But I will admit that clip was cool, and it was cool how he threw it in. That was really good. That was really good. Nicely done there. Yes, and like the previous two Dukey Shrek movies, he did, there are some parts where he adds in clips and adds in dialogue, and I think those work really well. Like, there are parts where he cuts to this broken necklace that he calls Mr. Dr. Broken Necklace Guy. They called Dr. Broken Necklace Guy. And fun fact, he told me that character was inspired by Brooklyn T. Guy from SML, from Super Mario Logan, who's definitely one of my favorite Super Mario Logan characters. I really like Brooklyn T. Guy, but I would hate to have his life, though. Yeah, there are parts where he cuts to this, character, his character called Dr. Broken Necklace Guy. A bit of a tongue twister. Dr. Broken Necklace Guy, and he has him narrate a bit of what's going on in the film, like with Tom's death, like for King Harold's death, in other words, Tom's death, in other words, Richard's death. Yeah, he had Dr. Broken Necklace Guy narrated, and he said that Tom died from COVID, and he also narrated he also did that for the scene right after scene. Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, I stutter way too much. Gosh, maybe I should start scripting these reviews. But yeah, he also did the Dr. Broken Necklace Guy thing. He also had him talk. He also narrated a bit. He also did a bit more narration after the part where the boat crashes. And he said that this character named Kipper, died from the boat crash because, we never saw him again after the film. And he was having Dr. Broken Necklace Guy state the obvious, and then he was having himself say, okay, Dr. Broken Necklace Guy, I think they get the idea. And, he's like calling him out for stating the obvious and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought that was really good. But that brings me to another continuity error that I've noticed in this Dukey Shrek series. I also just found out today that he would later have Dr. Broken Necklace Guy be the headless dude who sniffs and says that he always wanted to play the flute. Sorry about that. But yeah, he also later had Dr. Broken Necklace Guy be that dude who says that line. And yeah, that's a continuity error I've noticed, but like I said in the Dukey 2 review that I did last night, continuity errors can be pretty hard to avoid when you're spoofing Shrek. So yeah, I don't blame him for having continuity errors in his Dukey Shrek series. And what else is there to talk about in this spoof film? Okay, how good is it quality wise? Same thing for the quality of his Shrek 2, like similar to the quality of his same thing for the quality of his Dukey 2. Like, similar to the quality of his Dukey 1, but like a slight jump in quality with the text, with the fact that he's now able to edit text on the screen, and for the first part. And like the first part of Dukey 2, the first part, Dukey the Third, he also merged multiple videos into one. So yeah, there's that. The quality of his videos are getting better, and I can imagine them improving more and more as time goes on. As for the syncing, same thing with the syncing for the previous two Dukey Shrek movies. Bad, but yeah, the syncing could be worse. So yeah, and also like the previous two Dukey Shrek movies, certain songs were taken out to prevent copyright and all that stuff, because we know how copyright is with YouTube. We know how strict copyright can be with YouTube nowadays. So yeah, I find it fair and understandable how he took those songs out. And you know what? I think I'm good enough to jump into the conclusion in this review. Okay, so what did I think about Dukey the Third? Well, it's good. It was good as I expected it to be. Like, it was good like I expected it to be. It was how I expected it to be. And it's a pretty solid, and despite its crippling flaws, it's another solid movie from Vanilla Rabbit Lover 2001 Productions. I don't know how I'd rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, but I still think it's a good spoof film, and I think it's the third best Dukey Shrek movie. And yeah, it makes sense since I don't like Shrek the Third as much as Shrek's 1 or 2, and yeah, that's it. I think the movie's good despite its crippling flaws. I still think it's good. I still think it has really good casting choices, nice ideas with added dialogue, added clips, and all that stuff. I think it's overall a pretty solid spoof film. And yeah, I think I'm good enough to I think I'm good enough to stop the review here. So, yeah, that's it for this video, everyone. Yeah, links will be in the description below. And yeah, that's it for this video, everyone. Bye, everyone, and thank you all for watching this video. Now there's only one Dukey Shrek movie. Now there's only one more Dukey Shrek movie to review. And yeah, I'll review it. And yeah, and I'll review it at some point in the future. Bye.